we're back for the afternoon session. I would really encourage people who are sitting next to the ACs, please let them work. Do not turn them off. Kindly. It's quite hot, unfortunately, in this room. We're making do as entrepreneurs, okay? We make do with what you have, okay? So I think everyone on their tables has a sheet of paper that shows which groups you're in. These are exactly the same groups that you have been emailed about. Please use that sheet for reference. We're going to be very quick, very swift in moving, okay? I want team 1 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Team 1 to 5, kindly move to these first tables. Team 1 being there, 2, 3, 4, 5. Quickly, I know we also have coaches in the room. Kindly join the groups that you have been assigned. Yes. But feel free to stay. This is good. Team 3. Yes. Just pull chairs. All right. It's fine. Kindly let's move, and the same row, the next row, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Do the math. I can't see from here. 6 would be on my right, my far right. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 is on my far left. Look at the sheet. Look at the group you've been assigned. Let's move. 11 on my far right at the back. 12, 13, 14, 15. 6, 7, 8, 9. We're counting right to left. 1. 7. Yes, that's 7. This is 1, 2, 3. I shall show you. I'll show you. Yes, it's fine. I'll show them. We go back to the hotel? No. You're very much welcome to stay in whatever group you would like to stay in, if you would like to meet. And there's also a room at the back. If you want to be here, it's fine for you to do that, and you can join whatever group. So if you're comfortable sitting here, that's fine. They'll find chairs. Are you? Do you welcome, Madam? Well done. Oh, okay. Yes, please. And they'll pull chairs. All right, we're gonna figure that out. Just find a place to sit for now, and then when it's time to break out into your groups, just sit anywhere at the moment where there's a... Okay, there's some people who don't have groups at the moment. So if you are a table with less than 6 people, kindly put up your hand so that someone can join you. Less than 6 students who are not coaches, excluding coaches, 6. So there's a team there. You can join that. Deji? Is there another group? There's another group. There are so many groups. So if you're a student who doesn't have a group, they're putting up their hands. They need you. Join the group. Okay. All right. Are you guys ready? Okay. So we've been talking a lot about entrepreneurship. Some of the people in the morning were entrepreneurs who... Patrick is my friend. He's going to get me for this. So he wasn't super successful, but he shared his story, right? And we've had people who support entrepreneurs. So today we're going to actually, at this moment, hear from a real-time entrepreneur here in Kigali. And his name is Yussouf Ntwali. And he's the co-founder and CEO of Bag Innovation. Please put your hands together for Yussouf. He's going to tell us a bit about himself and whatever he's prepared for us today.
Which is not much. All right, guys. Good evening, everyone. I'm super sad because I came, as soon as I came, the lunch wasn't there. So I couldn't eat. But I'm excited to be here. My name is Yussouf, as you can see. Ntwali. I'm a young Rwandan entrepreneur, CEO of Bag Innovation. We started Bag Innovation about close to 6 years now, in 2017, and in April next year we're gonna be 6 years old as a company. And yeah, so when they asked me to give a keynote speech, I had to Google what are the components of a keynote speech, because I'm only used to coming on stage and pitching about my startup or being part of a panel discussion and having some questions. So I don't really know how to get started. But yeah, perhaps I can just share a few things on my way here. I was trying to note down a few things, as they came to mind about entrepreneurship. I know that some of you are thinking about becoming entrepreneurs. Some of you are already entrepreneurs, and yeah, so it's a very exciting career to venture into. Although it has its ups and downs, it's still very enjoyable. I can start maybe a little bit about my story. So my mom is Congolese from DRC, and my dad is Rwandan from Rwanda. So I was born here, and then when I was about 2 years old, we had to relocate back. We had to go to Congo. And so I grew up in Congo, in a place called Lubumbashi. Lived there for about 5 to 6 years, and in between I had to follow my dad because he was doing some business in places like Tanzania, Zambia, and all around Africa. So I had to kind of like follow around my dad, and that kind of gave me a little bit of like a sense of not having an identity, right? Because growing up in Congo, people could notice, they're like, you're not fully Congolese, right? And then in Rwanda too, people would be like, you're not fully Rwandan. So it's always kind of like, okay, am I Congolese? Am I Rwandan? What am I? And also living in all these different countries also can kind of like make you not feel like you have a sense of where you belong. And we had to come back to Rwanda and did my high school studies here. And as soon as I was done with my high school studies, I was so desperate to go and study abroad. So I told my dad, I was like, I'm not interested in studying in Rwanda. By that time, we didn't have ALU, and we didn't have any Carnegie Mellon as well. So I was very interested in studying abroad, right? And I told my dad, I was like, I want to study abroad. I want to get a good, high-quality education so I can come back and get opportunities. And then during that time, my dad was like, okay, how about you take a gap year, and during that gap year, you can kind of like figure out what you really want, if you want to stay here, if you want to go abroad. If you still have that, a drive, we'll try and make that happen. So in high school, I developed a strong passion for music, right? I wanted to become the Jay-Z of Rwanda, or the Jay-Z to come out of Africa. That was really my goal, and I did a lot of music videos, and I was really, really passionate about music. But during my gap year, but also through high school, I was also like very interested in like solving problems. I was always like, as you can see, I'm very comfortable with speaking in public. So I used to always be like the sales person in the, in school, right? I could buy secondhand phones, install some really cool apps, and then sell them for a higher price and then make a profit. That was my business. That was my first startup. And then, so I was always passionate about like solving problems and whatnot. And during my gap year, I actually met my co-founder, to be. By that time, and my co-founder was also in a networking event, and he had just relocated to Rwanda. He was from Sweden, and he was really interested in trying to set up something here. And I was also like really interested in like what can I do in Rwanda as well. And it was then where we met and we started talking, and we all clicked right away. We all found this passion for trying to run a business. And then we started speaking to other people and asked them, okay, what are the pros and cons of running a business in Kigali? And a lot of small, medium business owners mentioned that one of the it's good to start up a business and everything, but then one of the biggest challenge we face is we don't have access to talented people that we can hire. So as a small business, you can imagine you don't have a lot of money to hire a very experienced person. So you kind of want to hire, sorry to say, but like the cheapest labor you can find out there. And that happens to be maybe young people who don't have a work experience.
who can gain that experience on the job, right? However, a lot of employers did not really want to hire fresh graduates, and we started being curious. What's the reason? And then one of the things that kept coming back, which became the basis of what we're doing right now at BAG, was the university system was not really producing young people who are talented as companies are expecting them to be. So that was a very interesting problem for us to come across. And what we started doing was we started speaking to entrepreneurs and trying to understand, what are you looking for in people to hire? And one of the things that kept coming back was, we want problem solvers, we want critical thinkers, we want people who have a lot of soft skills, people who are creative, right? And we saw that universities are not really emphasizing and teaching people to have these skills. Mostly public universities, where a majority of young people in Africa are going to. So that was very interesting for us, and we said, what can we do about this? Started researching on Google. We figured out some different models that are working in other markets, which is project-based learning. And we tried to look at universities, what they're doing, and we didn't find a university that was doing that. So we started kind of like a project where we would go to like local coffee shops, and then we would ask them, what's one of your biggest challenge as a company? And they would tell us, a lot of people consume coffee, they don't consume tea in our coffee shop, right? How can we increase the sales of coffee? And we would go on Facebook, and then we would post a Google form, and then we would say, are you a student in university? Are you on your holidays? Are you bored at home? Do you want to work on a cool business challenge, right? And then students would apply without knowing what that was. They would come. We had a small little place in the co-working space, and then we would tell them, hey, there's a coffee shop that is looking for a solution for the problem. And if you're interested, you could work on this for the next 5 days, present to the owner of the business, and see if it actually, if you enjoy that process. So during that time, they would come to our office, and we would basically introduce them to the challenge. And then throughout the 5 days, we would tell some of our friends who are working in the field to come and give feedback on some of the ideas. On Friday, they would get to pitch to the owner of the business on what they came up with in the 5 days of work. And right away, what we saw was there was a huge enthusiasm from students, because students were super excited. They were like, oh my God, now I can actually see how my studies could be turned into real things. And hearing the feedback from a CEO of a company saying, that's really good. Like, I have 20 people in my department who are trying to solve this problem, but you guys came up with a solution in 5 days. That boosts the confidence of anybody who's trying to find an opportunity. However, companies were not really willing to pay for that. Why? Companies were saying, we're not interested in paying students as consultants, right? Out of the 10 ideas that students are gonna give us, 9 of them, we know them, and we've kind of tried them. Maybe one of them is gonna be interesting, right? So it's a good exercise, but we're not interested in that. However, we would be willing to hire some of them as interns in our company to work on solving that problem. So that was very interesting for us, because we didn't really have a business model then, and right away the customers were telling us, we're willing to pay for this if you do that, right? And that was a wake-up call for us. We said, okay, cool. Me and the team, we had figured out maybe an innovative way of actually sourcing talents, right? Instead of asking people, oh, show me your CV, you do this and this and this, we would say, I'm gonna give you a problem, and then you're gonna try and solve it. I'm gonna know exactly what you're good at and what you're not good at. Either you're good at researching, you're good at coming up with an idea and organizing them, or you're good at presenting, right? And right away, we figured out a business model, and we started doing these kind of workshops on a larger scale. So we would have like a room like this full of students working on different challenges. We go to different businesses and ask them for their challenges, and we would just do that and then place people into jobs and get paid by the companies to do that. Again, during that time, we started being recognized in in the Kigali market, and then we started pitching in different competitions. And one time we got to go and pitch in London, where in London we met some of the top CEOs of some of the biggest education platforms in the world, Udemy, Coursera, and whatnot. And what we quickly realized, that was the first introduction for us to tech. So we said, okay, it's not very sustainable for us to host these kind of big workshops how about we're able to develop a digital platform where people can still do the same thing, and we can reach more people without increasing the size of the classroom. And that was kind of the time where we came back. But the problem was my co-founder and I are non-technical, so we can't write code. Even if you put a gun on my head, I wouldn't write any code. I wouldn't know what to do. So basically we said, okay, what do we do? And likely enough, in the co-working space we also had a young team that was working on developing cool tech. They developed, I think some of you know them, they developed the Move app, Summit Lab, and then we told them, hey guys, please help us to build our first prototype, right? And they kind of helped us build the first prototype of our platform, which was really good. And then fast forward, I'm gonna bore you with all the details, but fast forward to when we realized, okay, outsourcing a tech team is very costly and it takes a lot of work for us to coordinate our relationships. So we had to raise some money from different investors to be able to build our own tech team, sorry. So we managed to convince this top CTO who we had been in the world of startup founders, we call it dancing. So we had been dancing with the CTO for a few years now, trying to get him on board, but not really understanding and trying to really convince him. And then at that time, we're able to convince him to join our team and build a team. So now we're about 8 people in our tech team, and then we have about 7 people on the operations. So that's the team of Bag right now. And I'm not going into all the details because I want to leave room for maybe 1 or 2 questions. But that was kind of like our journey into basically building up our product up to being able to build a team that we believe right now we're very confident that we can take our solution anywhere in the country, in the world actually. And some of the things that I just want to mention throughout that journey is number one, raising funding in a market like Rwanda is not the easiest thing in the world. If you present your company and as soon as you say, what market are you in, you just say Rwanda, the first thing you're gonna get is like, not a very big market. However, there is a key to be able to succeed, even if you're coming out of Rwanda. And the key is really if you're able to monopolize the market, if you're able to make your solution the standard for everybody to use, for example, AC Group and other companies that are able to strike these big deals that can provide them with an opportunity to get a big piece of the market that can really help you. Secondly is using Rwanda as a testing ground. I think this is mentioned over and over and over in every single talk. However, it's very important, right? We have to understand that Rwanda is a very small market, low purchasing power. So we have to build solutions because we have such a good environment where we can test things. However, we have to build with Africa in mind, or we have to build with the world in mind. And one of the things that I always tell some of my friends who are also founders is invest heavily into traveling and trying to understand different markets, right? A lot of founders, you find them building in Rwanda, knowing only about the Rwandan market. They've never been to a market like Kenya. They've never been to a market like Nigeria to really try to understand what is really happening there. I only see stuff on LinkedIn, but I never really got to experience what it's like to be there. So I would say if you're building in a market like this, invest into building relationships in other African markets. That's really gonna help you to understand those markets so you can build for them. Because people say you should build for Africa, but if you don't know what Africa is, how are you gonna build for, in Somalia? Like, how are you gonna build for that kind of target market if you don't really understand the dynamics there? So that's very important. Another things that I wanna mention before maybe we can open up for questions is, one of the things that I'm realizing, from my 6-year journey in entrepreneurship, which is not a lot, is I think I'm starting to really, really, really see that clearly that the key to success in entrepreneurship, and we were talking about it in one of the lounges, is, this thing is not the easiest thing to do. Entrepreneurship is not easy. It's a very cliche thing to say because everybody says it, but it's really not easy. Why? When you're building a company, most of the time you don't have a lot of money. Unless you come from a lot of money, or if parents have a lot of money, or you have rich friends who can pay you to build something and it fails, that's okay. If you don't, for majority of the people, it's gonna be really hard, because for at least 5 years of your entrepreneurship journey, most of the time, you're not gonna pay yourself a salary. You're not gonna pay yourself. You're gonna be proper broke, right? And you're gonna be running a very, very cool company and it's really working. Why? Because you have to invest in so many different things for the business to actually grow. And even when you raise money and then you show investors that, oh, as soon as we raise money, my salary is gonna be $5,000. They're gonna be like, what? No, you have to put skin in the game, right? We're giving you money to produce more money, not to keep spending on yourself. So, that's one of the pieces that is really, really, really painful, because you're gonna see yourself succeeding, but you personally, you're not gonna be succeeding, right? Delayed gratification. If you're good at that, if you're good at patience, it's gonna work out for you, but a lot of founders are not. One of the key, and another thing is that things are so hard in entrepreneurship where you pitch to customers, they don't want to listen. You pitch to customers, they tell you, yeah, sounds good, let's talk in January. They never respond to your calls. You speak to an investor, the first thing they're gonna ask you, how much are you generating in revenue? This is not innovative. I know a competitor. I know this and this and this and this. And all of those things are gonna hurt you personally. They're gonna hurt you personally because you're gonna feel like I'm building something that people do not really want to adopt to. And that's gonna hurt you because you're gonna feel like, am I the failure? Like, am I the one who's not very innovative enough? And the only thing that's gonna make you succeed, and this is something that I'm learning right now, is if your passion for the problem that you're trying to solve is so big that you're able to go through all of that, right? It's the same as dating. If you don't really love that person, as soon as you see one mistake that they're doing, you're gonna be like, okay, I'm out of here, right? But the successful marriages are built up on all of those things, right? It's like, okay, I still love you. Maybe you made a mistake, but I still love you. We're still gonna work it out, right? And I feel like entrepreneurship is the same thing. If you don't have that passion, I'm telling you, as soon as 10 investors tell you no, you will run out. As soon as you see a job advert on job in Rwanda, you will apply for it, right? Because you'll be like, I am out of here, right? This is too hard. This is failing. It's really not working because it really hurts you mentally. So, there's a famous saying which says, fall in love with the problem and not the solution. Fall in love with the problem and not the solution. All of us here, we might have a good idea of something that we want to build, and we feel like, oh my God, this is gonna be so cool, everybody's gonna love it. However, when you introduce it to the market, people are like, nope, we do not wanna use it this way, we wanna use it this way. A smart and an entrepreneur who's about to be successful will get that feedback, and they will say, it's okay, as long as we solve the problem. Not, oh, you're attacking, no, this is the way I want it to be. No, nobody cares how you want it to be, right? So, fall in love. If there's anything that maybe you can take away from my long and very boring speech, is, fall in love with the problem and not the solution. If the market tells you, this is not what we want this, follow the market. As long as you solve that problem. Whenever you're building your app or your solution, and then, it's really not working, go back to the drawing board and say, what is the problem we're trying to solve? What is the problem, right? And if your passion to solving that problem, most of the time, if it comes from personal experience, even better. If you've personally felt that problem, even better. Because even if you meet a lot of roadblocks in your entrepreneurship journey, you will always say, no, I faced the problem, right? I need to solve that problem. Nobody is best suited to solve that problem than me, right? Because I have the passion to see it through. So, that's it. That's it. Thank you very much. I think they allowed me to take 1 or 2 questions. So if there are any questions in the room, please let me know. You can just put your hand up and then we can take them. Yes. Perfect. So we have one there. We have another one. Perfect.
Hi, my name is Akpene, a student at Carnegie Mellon University, Africa, studying Masters in Information Technology, concentrating on IT entrepreneurship. So I got some insightful information from what you said, a lot of problem solution fits, going into the market, pivoting. My first question is around, when you go out into the market and you do your research, how do you come up with the solution that you're going to test? Because you come up with different solutions or like ideas that you want to try out, but which one do you actually start working on, prototyping or testing? My second question is around like researching. You said you did a lot of research, you found some business models online. How do you balance trying to learn from somebody else's business model against imitating or copying it? Thank you.
Very good. The first one is about how do you identify kind of like the solution to work on, right? I would say that, again, there's a famous saying in entrepreneurship is entrepreneurs who are very, very obsessed with execution and action actually succeed better, right? I would say when you're trying to work on a solution, try to think about what is the cheapest way to solve that problem, right? I would say it should always be the first solution that you actually do. It should be the cheapest one, the one that does not cost you any money and could be very, very easily shipped, right, out of your the place that you're working from and into the market. So the cheapest one should be always the solution that you actually go for, because it's gonna save you, first of all, money, and it's gonna save you a lot of time to try and build something too sophisticated. One of the problems that we face is that when we fall in love too much with the solution, is that we tend to create very sophisticated solutions for a very simple problem, right? I'm sure if you've been or if you've watched a lot of pitches where entrepreneurs are pitching an app for farmers, the first question from the judges is always, how many farmers have a smartphone? Right? It's always the first kind of like question, because who are you building it for? You're building it for yourself, right? So I would say the cheapest way to solve the problem should be always the first thing that you do. And I think until you actually find that product market fit, then you can start really investing into the solution. The second one, which is around how much do you differentiate between copying and really being innovative on something? I would say, as much as entrepreneurs, we like to brag and we like to oversell our solutions, most of the things are kind of there. Most of the infrastructures are kind of there. Nobody's really gonna come up with a new phone. Like, yes, you're gonna come up with an innovative phone or a phone with different features, but it's really a phone, right? So the infrastructure is really there. It's really up to how do you take that and you be innovative in terms of making it useful for different use cases, let's say, right? So I would say, even if you are trying to copy, I think some entrepreneurs actually give that advice where they say, look at your biggest competitor, and then look at the bad reviews of their products, and then just literally build the same thing, but fix that, right? And then you have an innovative product. And I would say, innovation does not mean all of us need to become the new Steve Jobs. All of us need to, invent a new car. Right? Innovation is about you built a product, people use it, it solves a problem for them, they pay you money for it. Done. Right? And I feel like that's something that definitely, I think when you're trying to if you see a model that is already working, take that model and say, okay, what are the things that are not working on this already existing model? Maybe it's working in the US, but then let's take something, bring it here, but then rip it apart and then start building for the same market. I would say that's one of the ways to look at it. I hope I answer your question. Yes.
Good evening.
Yes.
I'm Nijana Amina. I'm a student at Davis College Aquila in business management and entrepreneurship.
Yes.
So actually, I'm really excited with. Good evening, everyone. Nijana Amina, a student at Davis College Aquila in business management and entrepreneurship. I'm really excited about the innovation you are bringing on the market, and I just want to know what are the challenges you have as BAG Innovation right now, and how do you see the impact you are bringing on the market? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, I didn't really get to talk about what we're doing now, right? The first question was around challenges. Raising funding is a headache, especially in education, in the education space, because everybody asks themselves, who's supposed to pay for education? Is it the government? Is it the parent? Is it the student? Who's supposed to pay for that?
So it's a very big challenge to be able to find somebody who's very interested in solving that, funding that kind of problem. So I would say access to funding, especially coming from a country like Rwanda, it's another question that investors ask you when you're coming from markets that like Rwanda is, okay, great, you're pitching this innovative solution, but who in your country has exited, their startups before? Can't find somebody, right? It's very hard to find, so which becomes very hard to be able to do that. So when you face those kind of challenges, again, in entrepreneurship, do not fall in love with fundraising. It's not a very good thing to do. Fundraising makes your company expensive to run. That is one of the biggest problems with fundraising, because when you fundraise, you hire more people. When you fundraise, you invest heavily into different aspects of your business, which sometimes causes your company to be expensive to run. And that's why we're seeing all these big tech companies firing a lot of people. It's because they're realizing we're spending so much money and no investor is giving us more money to keep spending. So I would say that's, again, one of the biggest challenges is really finding the right kind of partners to be able to fund on that. I would say finding the right team. It's, again, finding top developers is very, very tricky to find in markets like Rwanda. You have to outsource that kind of that kind of aspect of your business. But also another thing is really finding product market fit, right? So how do you really get your product to be so viral that people are literally talking about it, without you needing to do a lot of marketing to get customers on board, right? How do you provide that kind of value to one client so that they actually, sell your company to another client, right? And you find that product market fit that you need to be able to grow. I think that's been really, really hard. We had to go through a lot of pivots before we can find what we're actually doing. So what we're doing right now is we have a digital platform that is offering what we call virtual job simulations for students and graduates to be able to prepare for entry-level positions. So on our platform, we collaborate with employers to upload tasks that are related to a specific role in a company. And then you complete those tasks. We provide you with points. And we're able to create something that is better than a LinkedIn, where employers can actually see what you've done in the past before they can hire you. So that's really what we're doing. And the impact that we're providing in the market is solving a number of problems. Number one, a lot of students are not getting jobs because they don't have work experience. The first thing you go to a manager, they ask you how many years of experience do you have. A lot of them don't really have an answer to that. Number two, when companies hire someone without any experience, they spend a lot of time and money in terms of training them and onboarding them to become fully effective. And another one is that if you look at a great solution for that would be an internship. However, traditional internships are not very scalable and they're not very effective, right? If you don't know the uncle of who's who, then it's very hard for you to get an internship at a top company, right? In Africa, most parts of Africa. So basically, and top companies can only provide, let's say, 50 internship opening per year. What is that compared to thousands of people who are graduating every year? So basically, those kind of problems, that's what our solution is really here to try and solve. And that's what we're doing. I hope I answered your questions. All right, guys, thank you very much. I'm not going to take too much of your time. Feel free to connect. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Twitter if you want to have a chat. And yeah, wish you the best of luck. Thank you.
Hello. Okay, it's back. Yes, I still want you here. I have the last question. Give us a rap. Yeah, who wants to hear that? Yeah.
So, to do that.
If bag innovation.
The good thing is, so everybody put $2 on the table, and then I'm going to collect that after. How about next time?
Okay. All right.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you so much. A round of applause for Yussouf. He may make it as a rapper at some point, and you met him here at CME Africa.